My name is Lily Chen. I am 27 years old, and I work as a compliance officer at Meridian Financial Group. My job is simple. I review documents. I check for errors. I make sure everything follows the rules. Numbers, contracts, legal forms. I sit alone in a small office on the third floor. Nobody bothers me there. That's how I like it. Every morning I arrive at exactly 8:30. I make green tea in the break room. I carry it to my office. I close the door. I work in silence. The building is large, 15 floors, hundreds of employees. But I know almost no one. I eat lunch at my desk. I leave at exactly 5 o'clock. This has been my routine for 18 months. There is one person I see regularly, a man who works in the office next to mine. Our offices share a wall, thin walls. I can hear him sometimes, the sound of his keyboard, the rustle of papers. Occasionally a phone call in a low voice, but I never hear what he says, just the murmur of conversation through the wall. I have seen him exactly 7 times, always in the hallway, always brief. He is maybe 40 years old, tall, dark hair going gray at the temples. He wears the same thing every day. Black pants, white shirt, no tie, simple black-rimmed glasses. He carries a leather briefcase that looks old and expensive. He walks with his head down. He never makes eye contact with anyone. The first time I saw him, I was leaving my office. He was locking his door. We were the only 2 people in the hallway. He glanced at me for half a second, nodded once, then walked away. No smile, no words, just acknowledgement that I existed. After that, it became a pattern. We would see each other in the hallway. He would nod. I would nod back. That was our entire relationship. I didn't know his name. I didn't know what he did. I only knew he worked strange hours. Sometimes I heard him arrive at 6 in the morning. Sometimes he was still there at midnight. I knew because I occasionally worked late too. The building would be empty, dark, silent, but light would shine from under his door, and I would hear the keyboard, always the keyboard, steady, relentless. I started to wonder about him. Who works alone at midnight? What kind of job requires such secrecy? His office had no nameplate on the door, just a number, 304. My office was 302. We were neighbors in a building full of strangers. One Friday evening, I worked late finishing a compliance report. It was nearly 8 o'clock. The floor was deserted. Everyone had gone home for the weekend. I finished my work and shut down my computer. I grabbed my bag and opened my door. He was standing in the hallway, right outside his office. We both froze. It was the first time we had been this close without other people around. He held his briefcase. His office door was open behind him. I could see inside for the first time. No personal items, no photos, just a desk, a computer, stacks of files. Everything was neat, organized, almost sterile. Working late? His voice startled me. It was the first time he had ever spoken to me. His voice was quiet, calm, like someone who chose words carefully. "Yes," I managed to say. "Compliance report." He nodded slowly. "You're very dedicated. I hear you working, through the wall." My face felt warm. He could hear me too. All this time we had been listening to each other work. "I hear you too," I admitted. "You work very late." "I have a lot to finish." He adjusted his glasses. "I'm sorry if I disturb you." "No, you don't." We stood there in awkward silence. Then he did something unexpected. He smiled, just slightly, a small, tired smile. "Have a good weekend, Miss Chen." He knew my name. How did he know my name? Before I could ask, he walked away, down the hallway, into the stairwell, gone. I stood there confused. We had never exchanged names. My name wasn't on my office door either. How did he know? I went back into my office and looked at the wall we shared. Just a plain white wall. But on the other side, he sat. This mysterious man who worked impossible hours, who knew my name, who smiled like someone carrying a heavy secret. That weekend, I couldn't stop thinking about him. Monday morning, I arrived at 8:30 like always. I made my tea. I walked to my office. His door was closed, no light underneath. He wasn't there yet. I went inside and started working. Around 9:15, I heard his door open and close. He had arrived. I heard the familiar sounds, briefcase set down, computer turning on, the keyboard starting its rhythm. I tried to focus on my work, but my mind kept wandering to the wall. Who was he? What was he working on? Why did he work in such secrecy? At lunch, I did something I had never done before. I went to the building directory in the lobby. I looked up Office 304. The listing said, reserved, executive use only. No name, no department, just reserved. That was strange, very strange. Executive offices were on the top floor, the 15th floor. That's where the CEO and senior management worked. Why would an executive office be on the 3rd floor, hidden among compliance officers and junior analysts? I went back to my desk with more questions than answers. Days passed, weeks passed. Our routine continued. We nodded in the hallway. We worked in our separate offices with only a wall between us. But now I was paying attention, really paying attention. I noticed he received no visitors. No one knocked on his door. No one called his name. The cleaning staff didn't even go into his office. I knew because I stayed late one night and watched. The janitor cleaned every office on the floor, except 304. He walked right past it. One evening in late October, something changed. I was working on a particularly complex case, a potential violation that could cost the company millions. I had been reviewing the same contract for hours. My eyes were tired. My head hurt. It was nearly 9 o'clock. I decided to give up for the night. As I packed my bag, I heard something through the wall. Not the keyboard, not papers. A voice. His voice, but different, tense, almost angry. I told you I can't do that. Pause. Someone was responding on the phone. You don't understand the risk. Another pause. If anyone finds out, everything falls apart. My hand froze on my bag. I shouldn't be listening. This was private, but I couldn't move. His voice came again, lower now, harder to hear. The Chen case is the problem. She's getting too close. Chen, my last name. My heart started pounding. Too close to what? Just give me more time. I'll handle it. The conversation ended. I heard him set the phone down. Silence. Complete silence. Then footsteps, coming toward the wall, toward my office. I grabbed my bag and rushed to my door. I needed to leave. Now. I opened my door just as his door opened. We stood there, face to face. His expression was unreadable. Miss Chen, still here? His voice was normal, calm, like that phone call never happened. Just leaving, I said. My voice shook slightly. He studied my face for a long moment. Too long, like he was trying to determine something. You work too hard, he finally said. You should go home, rest. It sounded like advice, but it felt like a warning. I nodded and walked quickly to the elevator. My hands shook as I pressed the button. When the elevator arrived and the doors opened, I looked back. He was still standing in the hallway, watching me. The elevator doors closed. That night, I couldn't sleep. The Chen case. He mentioned my name. What case? I reviewed dozens of files, hundreds of contracts. Which one was he talking about, and why did he care? The next morning, I arrived early. 7:30. Earlier than ever before. I wanted to search my files, figure out what he meant, but when I got to my office, something was wrong. My door was unlocked. I always locked it. Always. I pushed it open slowly. Everything looked normal at first. My desk, my computer, my files. Then I noticed. The stack of contracts on my desk had been moved. Not much, just slightly. Someone had been in here. Someone had gone through my work. I checked my computer. It was off, like I left it. But the mouse was in a different position. Someone had used my computer. Someone had used it. My stomach dropped. I looked at the wall I shared with him. Office 304. Did he come in here last night? Did he go through my files? Why? I sat down at my desk, trying to steady my breathing. I logged into my computer, checked the access history. According to the system, no one had logged in since I left at 9:15 last night. But someone could have accessed it physically, looked at open documents, gone through papers. I opened my current case files, the complex contract I had been reviewing, the potential violation. I read through it again, this time with new eyes. The contract was between Meridian Financial and a shell company registered in the Cayman Islands. The transaction was for $50 million, legitimate on the surface. But something felt off. The signatures, the dates, the routing numbers, everything was almost perfect, almost. If I dug deeper, if I verified every detail, I might find something someone didn't want found. Was this the Chen case? Was this what he was worried about? I spent the entire day working on nothing else. I verified signatures. I checked dates against bank records. I traced the money. And slowly a pattern emerged. The money wasn't going where the contract said it was going. It was being diverted, laundered, hidden. This wasn't a simple mistake. This was fraud, massive fraud. My hands shook as I compiled my findings. I should report this. That was my job. But something stopped me. The man next door. The mysterious man who knew my name, who worked impossible hours, who received no visitors, who had access to my office. What was his role in all of this? Was he trying to hide it? Or was he trying to expose it? That evening, I stayed late again. I needed to think. The building emptied. Darkness fell. I sat at my desk, staring at the wall. I heard his door open, footsteps in the hallway, then a knock. On my door. 3 sharp knocks. I froze. He had never knocked before, never approached me directly. "Miss Chen?" His voice came through the door. "I know you're there. Your light is on." I didn't respond. Maybe he would go away. "We need to talk," he said. "About what you found." How did he know I found something? Was he watching me? Monitoring my computer? "Please, it's important. I can explain." Slowly, I stood up, walked to the door. My hand hovered over the handle. Every instinct told me not to open it, not to trust him, but I needed answers. I opened the door. He stood there in his usual uniform, black pants, white shirt, glasses, but his face looked different, tired, worried, almost desperate. "Can I come in?" he asked. I stepped aside, let him enter. He closed the door behind him, stood in the middle of my small office. For a moment, neither of us spoke. "My name is James Brennan," he finally said. "I'm not who you think I am." "Who are you?" My voice was steadier than I felt. "I'm an internal investigator. I work directly for the board of directors. They planted me here 18 months ago, the same time you started. My mind raced. Why? Because someone at this company is stealing massive amounts of money for years. We couldn't figure out who or how, so they put me here, in this office, watching, listening. Listening to me? No, listening to everyone on this floor. This office is wired. I can hear everything that happens in the surrounding offices, phone calls, conversations, keyboard activity, everything. I felt sick. You've been spying on me? On everyone, it's my job, but you... He ran his hand through his hair. You weren't supposed to find anything. You were supposed to be clean, just doing compliance work, staying out of it. Out of what? Out of the investigation. But then you started working on that contract, the Cayman Islands transaction. You started asking questions, digging deeper. You're good at your job, Miss Chen. Too good. That contract is fraudulent, I said. The money is being stolen. I know. I've known for months. I've been building a case, collecting evidence, but I wasn't ready yet. I need more time. Time for what? He stepped closer, lowered his voice. Time to find out who's at the top. This fraud involves multiple people, someone in finance, someone in legal, someone in executive management, maybe more. If we expose it too early, the main players will disappear. Evidence will be destroyed. We get one shot at this. So what do I do? Stop investigating. Put the file away. Pretend you found nothing. Go back to your normal work. Let me finish this. I stared at him. You're asking me to ignore fraud? I'm asking you to trust me for a few more weeks. Then we'll bring everyone down, together. But right now, you're in danger. If they know you found something, if they think you'll report it. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. The phone call last night, I said. I heard you. You mentioned my name. His jaw tightened. You heard that? Through the wall. You said I was getting too close. I was talking to my handler, the person I report to on the board. I told them you were becoming a liability, that we needed to protect you or remove you from the case. Remove me? Transfer you to another department, another floor, somewhere safe. But they said no. They said moving you now would raise suspicion, so I have to keep you here, keep you safe, while I finish this. I walked to my desk, sat down. My legs felt weak. This is insane. I know. I'm sorry. I never wanted to involve you, but now you know. So I need your help. Help with what? Keep working. Act normal. But don't file your report on that contract, not yet. And be careful. Very careful. Don't trust anyone. Someone in this building is watching, looking for threats. If they think you're one... He pulled a card from his pocket. Plain white. Just a phone number. If anything feels wrong, if anyone approaches you, if you feel unsafe, call this number. It goes directly to me. I took the card. What about my office? You said it's wired. Are they listening right now? No, I control the surveillance. I turned it off before I knocked. But we shouldn't talk like this again. Too risky, just be careful, please. He walked to the door, paused. For what it's worth, I am sorry. I never wanted this to be your problem. Then he left, walked back to office 304, closed his door, left me sitting there with more questions than answers. That night, I barely slept. I kept thinking about James Brennan. The mysterious man next door wasn't mysterious at all. He was an investigator, a spy, living in the shadows of this company, listening to everyone, building a case against criminals. And now I was part of it, whether I wanted to be or not. The next morning, I did what he asked. I went back to normal work. I put the Cayman Islands contract aside. I told my supervisor I found no significant issues. I buried the evidence. It felt wrong, felt like betraying everything I believed in. But what choice did I have? If I reported it now, the criminals would escape, and I would be in danger. Days passed. I went to work, did my job, nodded at James in the hallway. Our routine continued. But now I knew. I knew what he was doing on the other side of that wall. I knew why he worked at midnight, why no one visited, why his office was listed as executive use only. He was hunting, and the prey was somewhere in this building. 2 weeks later, something happened. I arrived at work at my usual time, 8:30, but the building felt different, wrong. Security guards stood in the lobby. More than usual, they were checking IDs carefully, scrutinizing everyone who entered. I showed my badge. They waved me through. But I felt their eyes on me, watching. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor. When the doors opened, more security guards stood in the hallway, 2 of them, positioned outside an office. Office 304, James's office. His door was open. People in suits moved inside, not security. Something else? FBI, maybe? Or federal investigators? What happened? I walked quickly to my office, closed my door. My hands shook. Had they arrested him? Was the investigation over? Did something go wrong? I sat at my desk, staring at the wall, listening. But I heard nothing from his office. Just voices too muffled to understand. Movement, activity, then silence. Hours passed. I tried to work, but I couldn't focus. Every sound made me jump. Every footstep in the hallway made my heart race. Around noon, someone knocked on my door. 3 sharp knocks, the same pattern James used. I opened the door. A woman stood there, mid-40s, gray suit, FBI badge clipped to her belt. "Miss Lily Chen?" Her voice was professional, cold. "Yes. I'm Agent Sarah Morrison. I need you to come with me, please." My blood went cold. "Why? What's happening?" "We have some questions about your neighbor, James Brennan." She gestured down the hallway. "This way." I had no choice. I followed her to a conference room on the 5th floor. Another agent waited inside, a man, younger. He introduced himself as Agent Rodriguez. They asked me to sit. I sat. My hands were shaking. Agent Morrison opened a folder. "How long have you known James Brennan?" "I don't really know him. We just work next door to each other." "How long?" 18 months, since I started here." "And in 18 months, you never spoke?" "Barely. Maybe a few words. In the hallway." Agent Rodriguez leaned forward. "Miss Chen, we know James Brennan spoke to you 2 weeks ago, in your office, after hours. We need to know what he said." My throat went dry. They knew. How did they know? He told me he was an investigator, for the board. He said he was looking into fraud." "What else?" "He told me to stop investigating a contract, the Cayman Islands transaction. He said it was dangerous." Agent Morrison's expression didn't change. "Did he tell you who was involved in the fraud?" "No. He said he didn't know yet, that he was still building the case." "Did he give you anything? Documents, files, a way to contact him?" "The card, the phone number. It was in my wallet. Should I tell them? Were they really FBI? Or were they part of this?" "Miss Chen, this is important. Did James Brennan give you anything?" "A phone number, in case I felt unsafe." "Do you still have it?" I nodded. "May we see it?" I pulled the card from my wallet, handed it to Agent Morrison. She looked at it, showed it to Rodriguez. They exchanged a glance I couldn't read. Miss Chen, I need to tell you something, Morrison said. James Brennan is not an internal investigator. My heart stopped. What? His real name is James Brennan, that part is true, but he doesn't work for this company's board. He works for us, the FBI. The room spun. I don't understand. 3 years ago, we received a tip about Meridian Financial. Someone high up in the company was using it to launder money for organized crime. We planted James here as an undercover agent. He's been gathering evidence, building a case. Yesterday, we were ready to make arrests. What happened? James disappeared. Yesterday afternoon. He left the building and never came back. We've been trying to find him. His apartment is empty. His phone is off. He's gone. Rodriguez spoke now. We think he was compromised. Someone figured out who he really was. We're worried they took him. Or worse. My hands went numb. Why are you telling me this? Because you might be the last person he spoke to, and because you might be in danger too. Morrison's voice softened slightly. If James told you about the investigation, if he gave you that phone number, he was trying to protect you. He must have thought you were at risk. The Cayman Islands contract, I said. I found the fraud. I compiled evidence. He told me to bury it, to wait. Where is that evidence now? In my office, in my files. We need it, all of it, everything you found. They walked me back to my office. I gave them everything. The contract, my notes, the evidence of diverted funds, money laundering, fraud. They took it all. What happens now? I asked. Now you go home. Take a few days off. Don't come back to this building until we call you, for your safety. What about James? Morrison's expression was grim. We're looking for him. If he contacts you, call this number immediately. She gave me a different card, an official FBI card. Don't use the number he gave you. That phone is probably compromised. They left. I stood alone in my office, the office next to 304, the office where James had listened to me work for 18 months, where he had tried to protect me, where he had vanished from. I looked at the wall between us one last time, then I gathered my things, locked my door, left the building. 3 days passed. I stayed in my apartment, watched the news, waited for the FBI to call. Nothing. No news about arrests. No news about James. Just silence. On the 4th day, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Miss Chen, a voice I recognized. James. James, where are you? The FBI is looking for... I know. Listen carefully. I don't have much time. You're in danger. They know you helped me. They're coming for you. My heart raced. Who? Who's coming? The people at the top, the ones running everything. I got too close. They found out who I was. I had to run, but they think I told you everything. They think you know their names. But I don't. You never told me. I know, but they don't believe that. You need to disappear. Tonight. Right now. Where do I go? Do you have your passport? Yes. Pack one bag, take cash, no credit cards. They can track those. Go to the bus station, buy a ticket to Portland. When you get there, go to a hotel called the Maritime Inn. Check in under the name Sarah Martinez. Wait there. I'll contact you. James, I can't just... You don't have a choice. In about 30 minutes, someone is coming to your apartment. If you're still there when they arrive... He didn't finish. Please, Lily, trust me one more time. Run. The line went dead. I stood frozen. 30 minutes. Should I trust him? He lied about who he was. He was FBI, not a company investigator. How did I know he was telling the truth now? But what if he was right? What if someone was coming? I looked around my apartment, my safe, quiet life. Could I really leave it all? Then I heard it. Footsteps in the hallway outside my door. Heavy footsteps. Multiple people. They stopped right outside. I held my breath. Someone tried the doorknob. Locked. A voice. Male. "She's not answering." Another voice. "Check the back." They were checking the fire escape. The back window. I ran to my bedroom, grabbed my backpack, threw in clothes, passport, cash from my emergency fund, $2,000. Not much, but something. I heard glass breaking in the living room, the back window. They were coming in. I ran to my front door, unlocked it quietly, opened it a crack. The hallway was empty. The footsteps were inside my apartment now, in the living room. Check the bedroom. I slipped into the hallway, closed the door silently, ran to the stairs, no elevator, too obvious. I ran down 6 flights, burst out into the lobby. The doorman looked up, surprised. "Miss Chen, are you—" I didn't stop, ran out into the street, into the night, ran 3 blocks before I stopped to catch my breath. My phone buzzed. Text message, unknown number. Portland, Maritime Inn, Sarah Martinez, trust no one. J. I deleted the message, turned off my phone, started walking toward the bus station. My quiet life was gone. The man from office 304 had pulled me into something dark, something dangerous, and now I was running. Just like him. Into the unknown. The bus to Portland took 8 hours. I spent every minute looking over my shoulder. Every stop I watched who got on, who got off, searching for faces that didn't belong, for eyes that watched too long. But I saw nothing. Maybe I was paranoid, or maybe I was getting better at being invisible. Portland was raining when I arrived. I found the Maritime Inn, a cheap hotel near the waterfront. I checked in as Sarah Martinez, cash only. The clerk didn't ask questions. For 3 days I waited. No call from James, no news, just silence and rain. On the 4th day, someone knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole. James stood there, alone. He looked terrible, unshaven, exhausted. I opened the door. "They arrested everyone this morning," he said. "The CEO, the CFO, 8 executives total. It's over." "Over?" "The investigation. We got them. Your evidence was the key, the final piece we needed." I sank onto the bed. "So I can go home?" "Yes. You're safe now. I'm sorry I dragged you into this. I tried to protect you, but—" "I know." We sat in silence. Then I asked the question I'd been holding. "Were you ever really working next door? Or was that part of the lie, too?" "That was real. I needed to be close to the compliance department. Listen, watch, find the leak, but sitting next to you—" He paused. That became the only real part of my day, the only quiet, the only truth. "You should have told me." "I couldn't. It would have endangered you and the case." He stood. "I have to go back, testify, finish this, but you're free, really free." He left. I stayed in Portland 1 more week, thinking, processing. Then I went home, back to my apartment, back to my life. But I didn't go back to Meridian Financial. I couldn't. That building held too many secrets, too many lies. 6 months later, I got a letter. Handwritten. From James. He was done with undercover work, done with lying. He opened a bookstore in Seattle, a quiet place, for quiet people. He asked if I'd like to visit, maybe work there. I thought about it for exactly 1 day. Then I packed a bag. Not running this time, choosing. I arrived at his bookstore on a Tuesday. He stood behind the counter. Same black pants, same white shirt, Same tired smile. You came, he said. I came. We worked side by side, silently at first. Then slowly we started talking, real talking, truth instead of secrets. It wasn't the same as Office 302 and 304. It was better, because this time we weren't hiding, not from each other, not from ourselves. My name is Lily Chen. I am 28 years old now. The man from the office next door isn't next door anymore. He's right here. We share silence. We share truth. We share our lives. Sometimes the quietest people carry the loudest secrets. But when you finally speak them, you find freedom. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to Storyline English. See you next time.